Welcome back to Sprague Homestead. I'm Kanan.
I'm Nikki.
And today we're going to talk about why you shouldn't solely focus on making money off your homestead. So in the past we've made videos covering this subject about making some income off your homestead. We've covered it in general categories. We've also covered it in specific examples such as selling merchandise or even adding a rabbit cookbook to your homestead. Now there is a link in the description down to the cookbook if you want to check that out. And I'll even put a link up to the last video we did covering specific items. So making money on your homestead, everybody wants to know how to do it. And today I'll tell you why we're not going to focus on just making money.
The problem with making money is that so many people focus on, oh, I made $40 on these chickens, and they never stop to think about, what did those chickens cost me? So this is why we're going to talk today about making profit.
So recently we came across an example that somebody was driving to the auction. They were picking up 20 goats, bringing them home, feeding them out, and selling them later. Now, while people were getting all clamored like, oh my gosh, we got to get on this, the person was only making $20 per head after months of work. So now if you think about that, that is $400 of money made. But really, did they make any profit? Well, if you consider gas at $3.50 a gallon, they were having to drive 45 miles down there, leave at 5 a.m. to get there approximately 6 a.m., buy the goats, the 20 goats at auction, and then drive 45 miles home. They were spending about $37.50 in gas.
Because we should mention here that they were getting, what, 10, 12 miles to the gallon in an old pickup truck?
Hauling a trailer.
Yeah, so, yeah, the gas alone was a huge expense. Huge expense.
So now in this example, the person kept saying they were making $400. But if you look at it, if they sold the goats immediately when they got home, they're really only profiting somewhere in the $360-something range.
Except they weren't. So she was often bringing them home. Anybody who's bought animals at auction knows that a lot of times the stuff that goes through the auction, not in the finest of condition. So she would come home, she'd cut feet, she'd deworm, she'd treat for lice, she'd do whatever she needed to do. She'd put them on a different diet if they were lacking in weight, and was saying that usually she kept the goats a minimum of 2 to 3 weeks. That was the bare minimum.
So here's the example. They're already driving down there. On the time they get back, they've already spent over $30 in gas. At this point, they're into it about $368.50 if they could sell them immediately. Total profit. But what happens if you have to start feeding these things out? So you assume all these goats, there's 20 goats, they're adults, they're probably going to be eating about 2 bales of hay a week. Now where we are, hay is about $20 per bale, so you're spending $40 every week on hay. After a month, you've spent $160 in hay, and that drops it down to about, let's say about $208.
And that's not counting any mineral, any grain, or any follow-up treatment she might be doing. And that's not paying yourself anything for your labor. Not anything.
So at 2 months, you've now spent 8 weeks feeding goats. And at that point, you're going to net about $48 profit. Because you've only done hay. You haven't included anything else. But you can sell off all those goats. What happens at 3 months if you have any of those goats left? Well, if it's a bad year, and we've had those, where you don't sell anything till way later on, at 3 months in, just in hay alone, you have lost over $110 by buying these goats, and that doesn't include feed, water,
your
care,
time,
anything else. Fences
that need fixed, banding, because some of these goats she was bringing home and castrating. Follow-up care. You've got to do a tetanus shot before you do the banding. So yeah, even at the 1 month mark, $208. If she's had them a month, she's made really nothing.
Right.
Really nothing for her time.
Right. So the point of this example really is when people say, oh, how do you make money on the homestead? The focus really shouldn't be about making money. Because a lot of times people spend so much time on the side trying to earn that dollar that they end up losing every bit of profit and more trying to make that money. So the next time somebody says, hey, how do you make money on the homestead? How do you make profit on the homestead? Making money can lose you money, but making profit can invest in the future. So hopefully that was a little bit of an example of not making money or solely focused on making money and focusing on making profit. That's it from this time at Sprague for Homestead. We'll see you next time.
Happy homesteading.